Good morning, watch nerds. Now, have you ever purchased a watch and from the moment you pressed the button, you knew you had reservations? Well, this is one of those watches. But because this watch was another reviewer's watch, I managed to purchase it for about half price. I was therefore hoping I wouldn't lose money if I decided to flip it. That said, selling it wasn't and isn't part of the plan. So as it turned out, it was nicer than I thought, and to be honest, I'm a little bit smitten. Well, this is a Beaufort Permian Rift, and the colour option is Snowflake Obsidian. So Beaufort were a micro brand based in Auckland, New Zealand, and it was founded by Robert Kwok back in 2019. A Permian Rift is a geological zone, and Snowflake Obsidian is a type of volcanic rock or glass. Now, this did come in other natural stone options, but I know their stock is low. However, I will leave a link to the Beaufort site below. So what will one of these cost you? Well, if you live in the UK, it's £429, but the tax on that at 20% will take up to the nearer £500 mark. That isn't particularly cheap, but for a microbrand, it isn't that expensive either. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you think it's good value for money. I'm somewhere down the middle on this, to be honest, but like I said, I paid a lot less for this than the full retail price. So this is the box it came in. It's quite generic, but it's well made and it reflects the price of the watch. Inside is an unusual 2.5-year warranty. Bearing in mind this is what I would describe as a dress watch with a sporty vibe, the dimensions are pretty spot on. Now the case is 38mm, the lug width is 20mm. The lug to lug is 45mm, although it feels a little bit longer. And the depth, including a box double dome sapphire with AR coating, is 11mm, but without the crystal it's actually 9mm, meaning it actually looks slimmer than the dimensions indicate. Now the weight on a leather strap is 60 grams, and in my opinion the watch wears to size. I should mention that it's got a claimed 50 metres of water resistance, which basically means if you forget to take it off when you get in the shower, it's going to be okay. However, you'll probably destroy the strap. Inside the watch is a movement I've got no experience of, although I think I did own a watch with a Hangzhou movement some years ago, and I don't remember having any issues. Hangzhou have been making movements for over half a century now, and they've got a reasonably good reputation. Now this is the 8Z5000A, which as you can see has got a micro rotor, and that helps keep the movement nice and slim. It beats away at 28,800 beats per hour, hand winds, and it's got a 42-hour power reserve. But it doesn't hack, and it's got a ghost position. The most important thing, of course, is the accuracy. So let's see what it looks like on the time grapher. This all looks very healthy. Now in reality it is running at about plus 5 seconds a day, which is very good. You've got a very good beat error of 0.1, a very healthy amplitude, and a great rate, so no complaints there. The signed push-pull crown is 5mm, nicely knolled, operates the movement without issue, and that's all I've got to say about it really. Now this is the strap that came with it. It's excellent quality. It feels nice and soft, but it's quite thick as well. It's got signed hardware, and it's got quick release spring bars. My only complaint is it's quite long. Therefore, if you've got a smaller wrist like me, there's going to be a little bit of excess flapping around. Now I'm going to preserve that, and I've put in this Vario strap that I acquired a while ago, and I've never worn it. However, this actually is a bit of a strap monster. So here are a few pictures of what it can look like on something else. Even more than the dial, the highlight of this watch is the case, albeit I'm not that keen on the lugs. Now it's got a step bezel, which has got a combination of fine satin brushing and high polishing, both done to an extremely high standard. The sides, as you can see, are polished, and once again, the level of the polishing is outstanding. Now, although I'm not a great fan of the lugs, they do angle down nicely, and the watch fits nicely to the back of the wrist. Honestly, the outstanding part of this case is the actual fit and finish. And when you handle it, you just know you bought something of quality. The caseback screws down, and it's got a sapphire exhibition caseback, which means the watch has got a sapphire sandwich. Now through the caseback you can see the custom rotor along with a pearlized finishing to the movement. The outside of the caseback is polished, and whilst I understand that matches the case sides, it will pick up marks, so perhaps a brush finish to the caseback would have been better. I'm not always a great fan of exhibition casebacks, but I think in this particular case the watch was just screaming out for it. Now the interesting part, the dial. Well, each one is cut from natural snowflake obsidian, which, like I said earlier, is a type of volcanic rock. In actual fact, Google it and it describes it as volcanic glass. For this reason, each one is unique, a bit like me really. The 12 o'clock index has got triple bands, the 6 o'clock has got double bands, but the remainder are all single. Now, as well as the indices, the Dauphine hands are polished, but this watch doesn't have lume. Now, as far as I'm concerned, dress watch without lume, well, that's perfectly acceptable. The initial visibility in some lights isn't great, to be honest, but this watch isn't about practicality, it's about aesthetics. The only script, which I believe is enough, is the word Beaufort under the 12 o'clock. As you can see, it's got a small second-hand subdial, which I think suits the watch perfectly, and to be honest, I'm not sure I would have bought it if it was a normal three-hander. So what do I like about the Beaufort Permian Rift? What don't I like about it? And is there anything I'm not sure about? Let's do the dislikes first. If you include VAT, I think £500 for a watch on a strap with the Chinese movement is a little bit steep. Okay, I know it's actually quite a good movement, and I know movements with micro rotors normally cost a lot more, but I would still like to see it sell for just a little bit less. Also, I'm not a great fan of the lugs, purely because it just looks like they're an afterthought. What do I like about the watch? Well, after just saying the watch is a little bit expensive considering the movement, I actually really like the movement. I haven't had a watch with a micro rotor before, and I think it's a little bit cool, as well as being surprisingly accurate as well. I love the box sapphire crystal and the clarity it offers. The case finishing is amongst the best I've ever seen, and I love that small second-hand style. At the moment I love this watch, but ask me again in 6 months. Who knows, maybe I won't. So if you do fancy one of these, I hope I've given you something to think about, because I believe this watch is quite polarising. Anyway, that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it, click on the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below, and as usual, enjoy the rest of your day.